No matter if you are spiritually inclined or maybe not spiritually inclined to understand life more, we are all striving to do this, to keep things in balance. So, hey, Tom, today let's talk about balance
Sounds good.
because I feel that this is a big place for a lot of people. Even again, if people don't understand anything about who they are as a soul or their spiritual helpers or their psychic perceptions and all these areas that can really support us, everything that we are doing, no matter who we are, is to bring things back into balance.
That's right.
So what do you want to say about that, Tom?
Well, balance is when you bring it up, I think about my feelings and my intellect. My
Okay.
true feelings are my feeling nature, and that's where my inner wisdom lies, and just that motivation, enthusiasm. My intellect is there to organize myself to follow my feelings. And of course, I'm here to be in action because through action and service, I evolve faster. So, uh, when I get out of balance, I might have more feeling for something than I have organization. In other words, I haven't gotten the facts or I don't have a clear understanding. That's my intellectual nature. And then I might find I'm like spinning my wheels, going in circles, seeming to do something for everybody else, but never seeming to accomplish what I need to accomplish for myself. If I'm out of balance in my intellect, I can become a real fence sitter, waiting for the big opportunity to come by and looking to prove my feelings to myself. We call that the semi-intellectual state of consciousness. And that's available in some of our, more on this is available in our Wayshowers College materials that we offer in the show links. But if you don't take some time to be here on planet Earth and come into balance between have a thought for every feeling and a feeling for every thought, you'll pass on in confusion. That's the state of
Well, that's a
consciousness.
good thought.
Yeah. Well, that's the state of consciousness you're going to take with you.
Right.
So there's no avoiding. I mean, it's better if you just get involved in life. But I love what you said and that you've had that insight this morning or the other day where you said, you can see that everybody and things around us always seek to get back into balance.
Well, it's even like nature, right? Like a lot of stuff, chaos will be happening on the planet, or the earth will break open. Or like we went to Australia. Here's a good example. We went to Australia during 2020, during all the fires, 2019, 2020. Everything was burning. It was crazy. And then we went back later. What was it? 2023 we went back, October 2023. Yes. And we went through the same forests before, which were devastated, are now lush and green and growing back. So
they were growing back pretty fast. Yeah,
they were. So things come back into balance. And as you're talking about the intellect and the feelings, I want to share how I am currently working with this. So for myself, I've been a very empathic, sensitive person my whole life. Mm-hmm. And, I've been in the right place at the right time. And then some I've probably missed opportunities because I probably haven't been. But I recognize lately, as I step back into my muggle job, I'll say, when I say that on social media, people laugh and I get a lot of comments.
Your boss better not hear that.
The muggle job. Oh, they would understand muggles. In my muggle job, the thing that I'll say, the thing I'm lacking from my sensitivity was organizing with my intellect. So I've got a lot of feelings and I've got a lot of, inspiration, enthusiasm from within, but being able to organize that in a way that I can keep my finances balanced, that I can keep my emails balanced. I mean, the things that I need to put together in order to really move forward and to be really in a good place with both sides of me, the feeling and the intellect has been, honestly, it's been so fulfilling for myself because I've been in a place where I could accept that. As the Earth's crust shifts and changes, our lives do the same. One way to maneuver through the small and large moments that shake us to the core is by reviving your connection to spirit, gathering ways to cleanse your energy field, embracing spiritual awarenesses to give you a bigger picture,
And knowing that you are not alone on your journey can be a great support. The Soulquake Survival Guidebook is a great companion to meet you where you're at and support reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times. Get your copy today through Amazon Worldwide in paperback, ebook, or in audio, and begin embracing more clarity, inner peace, and enthusiasm for your life and what you've come to do.
Unlike a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I hate my job. I hate going to work, 9 to 5, yada, yada. I love it. I absolutely love it because I'm so fulfilled in my the age of my where I'm at in life, what I've experienced, and knowing that this is a piece of my puzzle that I really need to gain, that organizational piece to move forward. What about you, Tom?
Well, I think that's really cool what you just shared in that, what I hear you saying is that you feel like you've attracted opportunity one way or another. Your, we'll say your tendency or, what got reinforced in your first 7 years was, more of the out of balance feeling type energy,
Yeah.
not being as organized as you'd like to be. And here on planet Earth, we do need to be organized. And so, from our feeling nature, the religions were formed. There's usually somebody with a simple spiritual message, and we want to feel one with all and a part of all things, and that loving, vibration and healing vibration. And then the intellect, out of the intellect, science was born, where we want to understand how things work. And, we definitely need both parts here. Being sensitive and being psychic isn't just all about like, aha, I'm omniscient, I can see what's coming. We all pick up hunches, and sometimes we follow them and sometimes we don't. But once we pick up that hunch or messages, I was
Say
going to
that.
call
Say that again.
messages, husages, hunch messages.
Easy is it for you to say that, Tom?
Yeah. Well, when I pick up those hunches or messages, say from spirit, they're giving me little gentle suggestions, because they'll never tell you what to do, but they'll and never make decisions for you, but they'll give you suggestions from their vantage point of what you came to be involved with. Then as I get those messages, I can organize. I have that feeling. I'm inspired. I can then organize my feelings and then move into action. So it's important that we're practical here. But if we make one thing have all the truth, if we say like religion has all the truth, or science has all the truth, or our feelings have all the truth, or our intellect has all the truth, then, you're missing the point. Or that, but my tendency, and it's interesting because we've attracted each other into our lives, is probably to be out of balance intellect. I can think, I'm well educated and pretty good educated, and I can overthink things sometimes, or
Oh, yeah, you can.
procrastinate. Oh, she's observed this in me occasionally.
Just a little
Yeah.
bit.
So
But no one's listening, so you're good.
good. Nobody can see me. Hopefully nobody can see me.
you.
Oh, they can on the YouTube. Okay, well, never mind. And, so a lot of us are. And the only trouble with that is we can blow our timing. We don't get organized when the feeling hits us, or we overcomplicate, the situation. But when we're in balance, when you have a thought for every feeling, you've discerned the feeling, and you move into action, you come back to your feelings and you have another thought, you feel, think, act, or feel, organize, act. You can recognize when you've done that because things seem to fall into place. Life flows smoothly. And interesting that you brought this up because last week, that's what I was sharing about how I was I have a lot of projects that I do during the day and a few areas of business that we work in together and personal business, to take care of. And I was really practicing, again, just moving from my feelings of what was I needed to do, not what some outer voice in my head or was telling me, or playing the tapes of what my parents would have said, or something like that, or what you should do. Now sometimes they're in balance with each other, what I feel I need to do and what I should do, or what the obvious suggestion is true. Like, so if I have to go to the bathroom, I better go to the bathroom. It's good to do that. If I feel hungry, I ought to eat. I ought to make sure I have groceries, before the end of the week, kind of a thing. So what comes to you there? Something, an aha moment you just had?
Well, it's just we know when we were stimulated to write this down because that's what we do, guys. We get together, we regroup every day, and so then there's
Yeah.
some things like, oh, that's a great topic to share about, and so it really just came to me that no matter who is out there in the world, they're always trying to come back into balance and
Mm.
or striving to get back into balance, and a lot of times it's really unconscious. So being able to connect with yourself spiritually and with your soul essence and moving from that, like you're saying, the feel and the think and the act, or feel, organize, act way, is just an awareness that really supports whatever you're doing. And I think that's the big key that I had whenever we were, contemplating this the other day, and sharing a little bit between us about how I just recognize that, even people I know that know nothing, like literally nothing about this side of themselves, are striving to come back into balance.
Well, you bring up a great point, because one way or another, I'm either going to hit the brick wall, let's say out of balance feeling, I'm not going to be organized to take care of my needs or wants, or if I lose my motivation, I'm, naturally we're going to look for a way to, even if it's somewhat unconscious or just through absolute need, we've got to go out and find a balance to it all. But what I was sharing about too is that I've always been good at accomplishing. I've always been good at, for the most part. It's, and then sometimes I'd be like in this procrastination mode, like what did I have to motivate myself to do something? Usually once I start doing it, I love doing whatever I'm doing. And so I was really refining that balance, being in balance with doing things in the right place at the right time, like clockwork, and just like it wasn't a big change. It was more of a simple change where I just was allowing myself to feel some joy in the accomplishment of the previous hour, or I was breaking down my priorities so that I did a bit on everything. And I just noticed that as I do that in life, my energy, when I'm in balance, my energy's higher. I'm not as tired, or I'm not as under pressure. And then of course, physically you feel better, your body's, and actually you're, to me, in terms of your enthusiasm, like it's all genuine and you move through life pretty direct and
Except for when
so
I'm not.
forth. Yeah. We're really just talking about refinements, aren't we?
Yeah,
Many people are
absolutely.
very successful. And if that's one of the things I notice about some of your colleagues and some of the programs you've been involved with, is that, boy, their energy is organized, they do follow their feelings. And it's just a little bit more of an awareness that's needed, really just a little bit more awareness of when they're putting pressure on themselves or short circuiting their success by somehow accepting pressure around a situation which they actually move through very well.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example of, like being able to not take on other things, but just really to move with the energy and move with your the soul essence, right? Am I did I
Yeah,
say
that's a
that?
good way. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and so
That's what you hear me saying, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that soul part of us. And again, if you're conscious or not conscious about it, it's just moving from that. And I think, and I feel that the place that people do get caught up in is sometimes the outer influences that may surround us at different times and that we're unaware of, or that we maybe don't have that ability to stay cleansed, which we talk about quite often. And that cleansed energy, our aura, our energy field, then supports that buffer of, am I feeling what someone else is maybe feeling, or am I, hearing a
Right.
thought that someone else is saying? Because I'm
Accepting somebody else's pressure, or
right.
accepting, because it, it might be a portion of that, a little bit of you, but,
Hmm.
or me,
Well, we attract it, right?
but we
So
attract it. Yeah. And so, but as I'm moving through shedding that, shedding those, because really those thoughts, that I need to suffer, it's got to be hard, I'm a little worm, that doesn't help me be more loving. It doesn't help me accomplish more or be more of service. It's just, causes roadblocks, you can say, in the spiritual energy that I'm experiencing.
Yeah, so I guess it's just really recognizing, what awareness are you at this moment in time, and that too shall change as everything does, and as well as whoever we're interacting with, the awarenesses that they have, and then just honoring where people are at and knowing that no matter where people are at, they're trying to bring themselves back into balance.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about, blaming others for making me feel under pressure. There's times too to just play the game, like, oh yeah, it was hard, because that's what people want to hear. So say in your workplace, for example, oh yeah, we worked hard, because I noticed I went through this period of time where I'd be very positive at work. I kind of went to, and people would say to me, God, you make it all look so easy. And all it was that I just wasn't suffering as I went through it. I just didn't, I just went like, I rode the wave of energy, but like, okay, that was great. I got this. Boy, I really enjoyed getting the clarification on how to use that spreadsheet. Geez, I feel more empowered from that. Just acknowledging that I feel better, that I've accomplished something a little bit more. Or let's say I'm working out in the yard and I'm really doing some weeding or some hard
Like
labor.
last week.
Yeah, hard labor. And I'm like, wow, this is hard, but okay, relax, get a drink of water. Okay, let's get back to it. And then at the end of it going, that looks really great, that garden. I feel fulfilled.
Oh,
I'm not gonna go ahead. What do you want to say?
So good, because I was gonna say fulfilled. I just love how this works.
Oh wow, fulfilled.
I love how we connect energetically, and many other people do too. But it's just so great whenever we have these words pop into each other's. Because I was like, yeah, the one way to really work with coming into balance, and especially if you're out in the work field or whatever you're doing, is how fulfilled are you at that what you're doing?
Yeah, and we want to all be involved. All of us want to be involved in the things that we get the most joy out of. But there's certain routines and projects we all have to work on to that maybe wouldn't be our preference. But sometimes that's where the biggest learning is. And mastery, I don't know, for me, if you ask me, well, what is life mastery? One of the aspects is learning how much fun it can be to do something routine. Like, I empty the dishwasher every morning, and Teresa does some cooking. So we have our little arrangement so that I do my part.
I
she
cook,
does her
you
part.
clean.
Yeah, typically,
Because when Tom cooks, he cooks until 8:30 at night. And I'm like, oh, hells no.
So we have our preferences in that area. Yeah, but I grill outside. So anyway,
yes,
good.
Good grilling.
Yeah, Teresa's a great cook. This is the other. Well, she's a chef, really. But
We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it.
Not this lifetime.
yeah, she's been one, and you can tell. So you got me off track here. What was I going to
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Oh, but what's interesting is I noticed that after I empty the dishwasher in the morning, I see it as a way of getting my energy going and waking up. And then I often notice after I've done it, it only takes like 5 or 10 minutes. I like using both hands and, having fun doing it. There is a sense of fulfillment that I've accomplished something already today, like it gets my energy moving, kind of a thing. So there's a good example. It's a little thing of something that, wouldn't have been, we all wake up, oh, I got to empty the dishwasher, like I just become more aware of those thoughts and start focusing on the positive side of it. So the positive side is, well, it needs to be done. And then I like the feeling I have afterwards. I'm a visionary, so I like seeing it empty. Oh, and I can put these other ones in there now. they're little things, but
Well, it's making it practical, which is what
yeah.
we're always about, right? Like this is not rocket science. This is not, something you need a master's degree in or your PhD or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
this is just living life and understanding that these little refinements can be really big in your existence. And before, when you're talking about the energy that once we, have that, we're flowing with our energy with feel, think, act, or feel, be an action act is for myself, I recognize that, yeah, I have so much energy. I mean, I'm a little tired at the end of the day, but I go to bed like by 9 o'clock and I get up at 4 every morning and I have a full day. I'm on the computer 9 hours a day. And so, but I'm very fulfilled and I have energy to do what I need to do.
Yeah. Just getting back to this balance thing is that I think not only as individuals do we find ways to get ourselves back in balance, if we have a concept that's really working against us, we might find ourselves in dire straits or even physical ailments, because we're used to thinking a certain way. And then if I work with my guidance, I begin to become aware of, oh, that's really not a true thought. That's not really a positive thought. That's an old thought habit I have, and I've done that my whole life, or I'm really familiar with it. But as I shed those and replace those thoughts, I just get clearer and clearer. And then, like you're a great example of your natural enthusiasm, which is for real. It's not a put on. Is man, you're up early in the morning and you're accomplishing early, but when you're tired, you're tired. And I think that's another, great point is that, there's times where you're going to be tired. You need to take care of your needs. And it's not a time, what I've been regrouping is it's not a time to have a business meeting. It's not a
No, hells no, it's
family
not.
business meeting. It's not a time to talk about after a certain point in the day. It's really just let's be involved in life and make those meetings earlier in the day when everybody's fresher.
That's well said, Tom. So
Yeah.
I guess that's a good place to wind this one up and say that wherever you're at in your life, we hope that you find some balance and maybe accessing the spiritual part of you through your amazing team of spiritual support, your psychic perceptions, working with your energy, staying cleansed and relaxed can really
You have a
support
video
you.
you put out for that one.
Well, we can
Cleansing.
put the link down below to the video of the cleansing. So that's one thing you
Yeah.
can definitely work with. But just finding what works for you and helping that come back into balance. Yeah, does that sound good?
And remember,
That
life is
too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey. And hey, thanks for watching and listening. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.